Well, hi. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Richard Wade. It's Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock on the 7th of Feb 2025. And we're going to do another live stream. This is going to go out live to LinkedIn. And at the same time, it will go out to the Rural Crime Prevention and Farm Safety Training channel on YouTube. And hopefully, we're going to get people joining us as we go. Two things to mention at the get-go here. Anyone who joins live, whether you watch on LinkedIn, whether you join live on YouTube, if you have any questions, if you want to interact or comment on anything that we talk about today, then simply type it into your LinkedIn or YouTube browser. It will appear here on my screen, and then I can bring those in and we can discuss those as we go. The other thing, and it's a big ask really right at the get-go, is we want to try and promote the rural crime prevention and farm safety channels across the UK and Ireland and Europe and into America and all over the world, really. And we want to further expand our reach and audiences. And the only way we can do this is if you, the people who watch and interact and join us, like and subscribe to the channel and add comments as we go. And we would be extremely grateful if you'd be willing to do that. You can see tickering across the bottom there. I've got a wonderful guest going to join me in a couple of seconds. And I'm going to introduce to you Barry Carey. Now, Barry is the Crime Prevention Executive from the IFA, the Irish Farmers Association. So he's joining us from Ireland. And Barry has a pivotal role within the IFA. Barry is the Crime Prevention Executive. And his aim and the aim of the IFA with regards to rural crime is to spread information and link people together and provide useful resources that people can avail themselves of with a view to preventing and reducing rural crime in Ireland. And in that role, Barry's pivotal in liaising and meeting with the Garda, the Irish police force. There's links into government and policy and various rural communities. And I can't wait to introduce Barry to you so we can explore that a little bit deeper. And of course, as we go through, we'll talk about the crime issues affecting Ireland and try and get an idea if it's the same things over in Ireland that's affecting us here in the UK and indeed around the world. So without further ado, let me bring in Barry Carey, and he can say hi. Barry, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. How's it going over there?
Hi, Richard. Good afternoon, and thanks for the invitation.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. And Barry, really chuffed. Thank you for spending the time. Thank you to you and the IFA, of course. It's a real honour. I mean that genuinely, because I've done a bit of research, Barry, and I've been looking at the information that I can get my hands on relating to crime in Ireland. And there's information out there, but I want to get it from the horse's mouth, as it were. And just so everyone's aware, at the end of this chat that we have today, in the notes on YouTube, I'm going to make available a free download. And the download is a bit of a snapshot, a synopsis of Matt Bowden from Dublin Technical University, a sort of an overview of his rural crime survey, his Irish crime survey that was published a little while ago. And he's seen my synopsis and has made comments on it, and he's got no problem with me sharing that widely. So we'll come on to that. So what's going on, Barry? Rural crime in Ireland today. What's the main issue? What's affecting people?
It's a huge part of everyday life in rural communities. We have a whole raft of ongoing crimes, such as the burglaries, creeper burglaries, because of the location of rural communities and the isolation of certain farms and the no boundaries, no fences. It's a walk on, and from bogus traders and callers. There are scams going on where people come in and offer various services targeting elderly farmers and elderly members of the rural communities. And there's one going on at the moment in relation to tarmac, right? And where they offer excess that they have from some job, and they'll do it, and they'll offer it for a small amount of money, and then there's the extortion and the threats and looking for huge sums of money and intimidation. That's a real worry. The usual then heating oils, home oils, and agricultural fuels, the theft of farm vehicles, tools, farm tools, the
Yeah.
trailers. The three big ones are the trailers, tractors, and quad bikes. They would be top list. We have a database through one of the manufacturers of 5,000 stolen
Right.
trailers, right?
Wow.
From your horse box type trailer to your animal movement trailer to your flatbed trailers. They are a huge piece, and we've been looking at many a preventative measure trying to combat this type of trailer. And then there's the theft of livestock, um, and animal worrying. This is a huge piece now, and it's the Department of Agriculture keeps a close eye and track on what's actually been taken and stolen. Besides your normal everyday missing in the adverse weather conditions, such as we've had in the last few weeks between snow and high end storms, but in the main, there are rogue butchers and there are rogue groups out there who are killing animals on the spot. There was an arrest and a serious incident a month ago in County Kerry where during the snow, a farmer went out to look for his sheep and he found two ewes in lamb with their throat cuts about to be slaughtered, and the individual was caught and he's now going to appear in court in the next week or so. That's type of particular thing. But again, there's another big one, which is illegal hunting, right? With lurcher dogs of animals such as hares and badger baiting and hare coursing, and with that goes an element of criminality also. There's online gambling, there's gambling attached to it, but it's the damage that type of activity does to the criminal side of criminal damage to fences, criminal damage to gates, and then when they're asked to leave the lands that they're on, there's the threats. We've had farmers who have been hospitalized, assaulted. We had one particular farmer who was run over because he found a gate open and he went to close it, and there was a illegal fly tipping going on. And they knocked the gate down on him underneath it and that. But there are serious incidents. So we've been very good in certain ways about getting the communities together and in trying to combat that at a community level. The Garda Síochána, the Irish Police Force, are very good at responding to a lot of these. And because of the hinterlands and the spread agriculturally, and the locations, it can be sometimes hard to get out on time to combat these. So we have eyes and ears groups in communities, and the IFA established after one particular incident with a big public meeting, local representatives, huge community groups, and it was kind of how can we early report and consistently reporting, right? People are sometimes go, oh, I better not report the crime because I might be the subject of a retaliation. So in that, we have WhatsApp groups in particular who are hugely successful. And it's a reporting mechanism. The reporting mechanism is that you see something suspicious, you report it to 999 or 112. We don't advocate ringing a local police station because there may be a road traffic accident. There may be some serious crime going on. So you're reporting these individuals in the area, and no one is better than the communities themselves at knowing that there are strangers in the area. And strangers, perhaps that can be queried and can be questioned, but you're making the alert. And then on some of the WhatsApp groups, there are very positive reactions. In fact, one of the WhatsApp groups, there's 500 people over two groups, 250, and they're in a 12 to 14 square mile. And what it is real-time reporting of suspicious activities, real-time reporting of people parking up vehicles, taking out the hunting lurcher dogs, trespassing on lands. And at this time of the year, this is calving and lambing season. We're into it now. And the protectionism of that, people don't see or don't understand the damage that's done agriculturally when animals are worried, abortions, miscarriages, all sorts of, high-end vet costs to remedy the situation. And again, there's the worrying then of the animals themselves, and that loss of business. If this was anything else, there'd be, serious questions. So you have to kind of prevent as much as possible, and in this way, this is what we've done through a whole raft of communities and a whole number of counties and the buy-in of it.
That's fascinating. Yeah. There's a lot going on there, Barry. You mentioned some really interesting things that we've been talking about ourselves very, very recently. But before I come on to that, you mentioned that. So I've been to Ireland a couple of times, and I've got my vision of Ireland, and they're stealing the quads and they're stealing the trailers, the big problems. How are they getting them out? Where are they going? What's happening to them?
Well, it has always been an issue, taking them. For example, every police division has a property warehouse of items that will be found, whether they're searching or whether they're coming across or abandoned. And a couple of years ago, I think there was, I can only describe as half a football field of items categorized from power tools, you name it, brand new to used. There were quad bikes. There was quad bikes from the United Kingdom.
Right.
And what it is a property return day. So if you have been the victim of a crime or a loss, you come along with your certificate, your pulse number, and if you have a receipt and something that can verify that the property is yours, it would be returned to you. If not, it goes for public auction the following year.
Right.
But in the main, people couldn't get this. Now, 3 years ago, this month, the start of the Russian-Ukrainian war, the invasion of Ukraine, and then the subsequent embargoes by the world organizations against Russia. So there's the no sales of everything, right? From animal feeds to all sorts of agri equipment and tools, etc. So this has now created a new market for Eastern European criminals. Right? And they are, for example, if you look at your own NFU Mutual report, which is a kind of a real bounce of information by county in the UK, and Northern Ireland and Scotland and Wales, and then in Ireland we have a fair idea as to the scale and size of it. But last year was 54 million. I mean, that's 1 million a week plus.
Big money.
In any shape, way, or form. And if you look at a 10,000 to 20,000 piece of equipment, that's a lot of 10-20,000 to make up 1 million a week. And it's been exported. For example, GPS systems, agricultural systems for the bigger machinery. The GPSs, we've had quite a number. Ireland has been targeted, and I know that the UK has too, but Ireland was targeted late last year and earlier last year, and they came in, and we had one particular capture of Eastern European individuals, and they arrived in one particular port, and that night then there were 6 agri contractors yards broken into, and up to 300,000-400,000 euros worth of equipment taken. They were caught further up in the northern county of North County Dublin, and appeared in court and were convicted. But that's only one aspect of it. It's like other crimes you have, but to highlight it, to show it, and then to have a common theme going forward of community reassurance, information sharing, and communication network. We have a bit like your rural crime networks in the UK. Ireland has the National Rural Safety Forum, of which I'm the co-secretary, and that has 25 large organizations involved in some government departments associated, like the Department of Rural and Community Development, like the Department of Justice, all of the agricultural organizations, the Irish Farmers Association, the Irish Cattle and Sheep Association, the Irish Creamery Milk Suppliers Association. We have, from youth organizations to the Irish Country Women's Association to the ESB networks, right across a whole segment. And it's about increased community engagement.
Yeah.
One of the things we're trying really hard. And then, one of the other, I suppose, pillars is the crime prevention and crime opportunity reduction, right? And how can that be? So
Yeah.
if we have an alertness, now we all understand that rural communities, people are busy, farmers are busy all of the time, and security, safety sometimes doesn't be at the forefront. And that's one of the objectives of my office is to keep it at the forefront, is to look at the legislation pieces, to work with every Garda Síochána division in the country. In other words, the 26 counties here, I liaise with all of the Garda Síochána units in that. And in trying to come up with solutions and plans. One particular project that we have is property marking. Okay. And there are various schemes in this, overt sticking, but the one at the moment, which is supported by the Department of Justice, and that's Property Marking Ireland. And it's a machine. It's like an engraving machine, but it does any surface from your laptop to your phone, to any item, your television. But then it goes from your commercial, from your quad bikes to your trailers, your tractors. And it really is. And we use the air code over here. Because first of all, that gives that piece of equipment a location identity. Okay. And if you mark it in a couple of places, and then in conjunction, the Garda Síochána have the property marking app on their website. You can download the information. You keep your photographs of your equipment, so that you're able to show that's mine. And then property marking has three great outcomes. One, that it's a major deterrent, because the communities, it was rolled out 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, as a trial project in two counties in Ireland, Cavan Monaghan district, and there was an 85% reduction in crimes. Okay. In burglaries and that. But the local council became a sponsor of it, and they would have outside towns and villages a sign up, like very much like a road sign, like a yield way or a speed sign, saying this is a property marking area. And the local councils, the local authorities in Ireland have bought into it too. They've bought some of these machinery. They've been trained up on it. They loan out the machines to the various communities. And this is part of it. But it's been a pretty good success. And we think that property marking, as I said, there are three great things to it. One, it acts as a deterrent. Two, if you're unfortunate that they come in at night and take it, to try to dispose of stolen items with an air code on it. And then we're advising all of the members and all of the public, watch out for if somebody's at, car boot sales or marts or markets trying to offload specific items. And then the reporting sequence, if people are caught in possession of stolen items, the law can take over and prosecute them. So property marking is a huge fight against in the rural crime piece.
I love that approach, Barry, because it goes back to what you said right at the start, where you said this like football fields of stuff that it's the same in the UK. Police forces around the UK have in their possession tons of stuff that belongs to somebody, but they just don't know who it is. And that simple act of marking it up, get in your case the error code on there, makes such a difference. What I particularly liked about what you said was that going like in a big area and going through and doing everyone and putting the signs was like herd immunity almost, isn't it? And
it is,
and it'll have that deterrent effect. The criminals will know if I'm going in there, it's going to be hard to get rid of that stuff. So that's got to be a brilliant effect. The other thing you mentioned was hare coursing and crimes with dogs and that kind of stuff. And you mentioned the betting. There's a lot of people unaware that it's often linked to other crimes and global crimes like illegal betting syndicates. And we've just done a bit of a chat on that fairly recently over here on this actual channel. It got some great feedback as well. So it's a big problem. I've spoken to a farmer who's been a victim of that, where he actually approached the the people. There was a traveling gang, traveling people, lurching dogs, chasing hares on his property. And he was in a similar position. He felt intimidated, and he was basically told, if you don't go away, you're going to be beaten badly. And he did. And one of the things I think worth mentioning here, I always advocate, you need not to be physically engaging with people, and you hit it on the head. Call the police. It's a crime in progress, isn't it? Get the relevant authorities in. What about GPS then? You say is that a huge problem over in Ireland? Is that a similar thing to what we've got here then? GPS theft?
As I said, Richard, I think the catalyst for the GPSs was the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and what that has opened up through the embargo. They can't get them, they can't buy them legitimately.
Sure, yeah.
And we've had in the last couple of years thefts where, when you turn the GPS system on, it has a tracker in it anyway, and it'll tell you that it's in Timbuktu, right? Yeah. But we had stuff that ended up in North America and Canada, right? Wow. Stolen in Ireland and recovered. But again, it's high value, right? Yeah. It's high value for the criminals, and there's another side to it as well. It's the damage that they're doing to get into the cab, to take basically the screen and the dome, the communicating dome, right? And they're taking these, but it's the damage that they're doing. They can do up to €1,000 worth of damage. The locks to get into the cab, and then they're cutting and reefing and that. So again, there's the cost of replacement, there's the insurance implication, there's the downtime, there's the business loss. It's the impacts are extraordinary for the farming communities.
It's massive, and yes, worth mentioning the psychological impacts of these crimes is phenomenal. The business interruption is huge. Like you say, someone's nicked my GPS unit, and it's much bigger than that because you can't work for a week while you're waiting for a new one, perhaps. But one of the things that I always like to bring into these conversations is that mental impact. People, they've become a victim, they've been violated, and it might have impacted their family and their children, and if it's a homestead invasion, that kind of stuff. So the repercussions are phenomenal. It's life-changing for some people, as you well know, Barry. It's horrible crimes, they really are. What's the you mentioned all the networks, and I love the WhatsApp group ideas and all that kind of stuff. Do the Garda, are there any kind of regional road shows or events and things involving rural crime prevention to give out information? What happens over in Ireland on that?
Well, the Garda Síochána have the crime prevention officers, the National Crime Prevention Office, and then each division has its crime prevention officers.
Yeah,
and they are great for doing the road shows. They're going out into the communities, advising, assessing, and giving out crime prevention tips to the public and to the farming communities. And if you go up on their website, they've got great tips, from fuel theft to yard security and so on and so forth. And as I said, they have the property marking app on the website as well. And these are positive, very positive steps that are making. We attend a lot of community meetings. The Garda Síochána and IFA do some podcasts too, webinars together.
Yeah.
On crime prevention, and that's a big part of it. Yeah. That's a big part of trying to keep it at the forefront of people's. The core business is farming. The core business is whatever agricultural discipline they're involved in, and then security is another piece of it that you have to make part of your daily business plan, your weekly business plan, and try and roll it in. And there's a cost effect. There's a cost factor to it, but then there's a responsibility, to protect your business. And that's what we're trying to achieve in doing so.
Yeah, I think it's a really important thing. And maybe we'll explore that a little bit further now that, it's one of those things, isn't it? We find this over here. Everyone's, got an idea of rural crime, but people, unfortunately, don't tend to sit up and pay attention until either it's too late, it's happened to them, they've been victimized, or they've lost animals or fuel or a vehicle or a GPS unit, then it's right on their agenda. Or they hear about someone in the area, and then they're kind of paying attention. I think we're talking the same language. That's a little bit too late at that point. It needs to be part of everyday business. So what shall we talk about, Barry? What rural crime prevention measures? What's the simple things that you and the Garda and people in crime prevention in Ireland, what are we telling rural communities and farmers? What should they be doing so they don't become a victim?
At various stages of the year, we have the Light Up Lock-up campaign. I mean, access to farms, I mentioned at the very outset, it's not a prison. There are open walls, there's open fences, there's open bushes, there's hedges, there's hedgerows. You can basically climb over a walkthrough. And so there's an access. So we're talking about lighting. And on the prevention side of an alert system that comes in, good cameras that will tell you, and people have asked me questions, but sure, if they're wearing balaclavas or they're wearing hoodies with scarves, and I said, but if you're told at 1 o'clock in the morning that there are people in your yard, you can set it off the alarm and you can call the police at the Garda Síochána. And in that way, lighting that comes on, lighting has been like interacting white light when people walk in, that it's activated, spotlights, a good siren to set off. People do not want to be detected when they're coming in.
Sure.
There's the opportunistic guy who'll drive in, see the open garden, see the open shed, see the open barn, and go in and take something because people are busy, they're hundreds of yards away. People who come in and scope. And again, if you put up the cameras, and cameras are not the cost that they used to be, they're fantastic now, and they record, and you can get them on your mobile phone and alert. I mean, you can look in at your farm, you can look in at your outlying properties or sheds and see, you could actually be on holidays and be looking at your property. Yeah. So modern technology and the use of modern technology is really at the forefront of alerting people to suspicious activity or unauthorized access to particular areas. And that's really what it's about. The light up, the lock up, and having a routine, not leaving keys in tractors, not leaving keys in quad bikes, closing the gate. It's, you're a long day, you're 16 hours, then you got to get out in the rain and close the gate. But these things will become more prevalent as time goes on. And people have to just become a little more disciplined when it comes to the safeguarding of their own property and their own equipment.
I think you're right. I think it's really interesting that those things you've said there, it's not rocket science, is it? Light it up, lock it up, close the gate, keep your fences in good order, bit of lighting, CCTV has its part to play, and they're all really simple measures that most people can actually implement, and it's just getting a good discipline, isn't it, and making security and this approach to prevention.
Tracking devices. Tracking devices now are the James Bondy stuff. That we saw years ago. Beep. Well, you can live tracking now, and it has been for some years, and it's got much cheaper. And it is, and you geofence your equipment. If your quad bike's never going to leave the a kilometer or 2 kilometers of the farmyard, so be it. So if it does, you get a beep on your phone. Hey, your quad bike is going down the M60 at 80 miles an hour on the back of a truck. Well, yeah, really. So those alerts and but the use, as we said, of technologies inside this.
I think it's right. That technology approach really, really important. And one thing I'm always talking to people about is make use of your people as well. For the larger farms where they've got workers, whether they're seasonal or full time or whatever they might be. That's mobile CCTV. That's people who could be briefed and trained and made alert what to look out for, and more importantly, what to report it. I mean, you've mentioned it already. It's getting it reported, and it's really, really important. The Garda, the police, they need to know what's going on, and that quick reporting often will protect a wider area as well.
Yeah, I mentioned the alerts, and as I said, one of the captures of people who had got 300,000 the night before was a smart camera and the smart camera woke the farmer up, and the farmer got onto his sons, and they were able to intercept the individual before he got off the property, and he was arrested, and that was great, and there was good publicity about it,
Yeah.
and you know, letting people know that these people are in the area, and so it goes up, and the kind of the jungle drums go off in the communities, and people start texting and alerting each other, and then the administrators of these particular WhatsApp groups put the message up. I mean, in that specific area where this guy was arrested, in the last number of weeks, there have been 12 arrests of individuals illegally hunting, lurching,
Right.
and under the Wildlife Act and under other acts, they're going to be they're scheduled for court, and the courts are starting to give decent and fair fines, like 1,500, 1,000 euros, and yeah, it's having its effect. But there's also a large number of dogs that have been confiscated.
Yeah.
Now that's up to the courts as to what happens to them if they're licensed, if they're chipped under the law in Ireland in relation to dog ownership, and then, you know, are they being maintained? Are they being well looked after? Are they nourished? You know, under the welfare of animals.
Yeah.
You know, these are all of these things come into play to try to make the rural communities a safer place to live.
And it's just about doing something, taking action, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I said people are very proactive. There's lots of schemes there. You know, there's community alerts, and then there's, you know, as I said, our WhatsApp groups, but there people are very good, and they're getting better at it now. And seeing a pink van with yellow registration plates, you know, and it's 30 years old, right? And it's acting suspiciously. The call goes in, police come out, investigate, and say, no tax, no insurance, no NCT, no MOT, and so on.
Yeah.
Then they find out that the individual has a warrant for arrest warrant out from. All of these things come into play, but it's very good, and it tells people you better not go up there, because if you drive around up there, you'll be seen. And it really is, and it does spread out. Now they may go somewhere else which mightn't have schemes in place, but we're trying to roll out the community sharing, information sharing, community network system, which really is part and parcel of the bigger picture.
Yeah, I think so. And of course, why I'm so glad you came on, Barry, because you've got the sort of the inputs from all across Ireland. You know, you're involved in all those groups, and your links to the police and IFA and the crime networks. It's been really, really interesting and fascinating for me. What doesn't surprise me though, Barry, you in Ireland have got exactly, your criminals are doing exactly what our criminals do. Exactly. It's identical, and they're doing it the same in America and the same in France and New Zealand, everywhere around the world. But they can only do it because they've got the opportunity to do it. And if we can give nothing more today than the message of prevention is far better than dealing with the after effects, and prevention is actually not that difficult, then I think we'll have achieved something quite nice today. And hopefully people...
You mentioned the farm crime survey, which was done by Technological University.
Yes, indeed.
Dr. Matt Bowden and Dr. Nicola Hughes.
Yeah.
That was in conjunction with the Irish Farmers Association.
Good.
For all our members that were interviewed, and a couple of thousand of them, and it was a very good survey. But we worked closely together, and then we launched the report at the National Ploughing Championships back in 2023. But yeah, it was very worthwhile done. But the figures that came out were kind of shocking to one degree, to say that, you know, 55% of participants reported that they or someone in their farm had been previous victims of crime. 55%.
It's massive.
And then I think in the 12 months prior to the survey, there was something 46% of people reported that they'd been a victim of crime in the previous 5 years. So yeah, you know, regardless of the size of the crime, or, you know, whether it was someone took your push bike or someone took your tractor, you know, there was all of these things reported. So it gave a great eye opener to the scheme of how it is, and yeah,
it was a good read, and I'm going to share it and with Matt's blessing, I'm gonna actually make that available for people to download. The information is out there publicly already, as you well know, but I've just condensed it and stuck it into a point.
And it's good for people to have, the general. I mean, what's a great read? I mean, it's shocking to one degree, but the National Farmers Union, NFU Mutuals, crime report each year and of what they've paid out, but it gives by county in the UK. It gives by county where the problems are and how and they're mirror imaged across. You've said our criminals are your criminals are your criminals, and it's a business. When you're stealing $1 million sterling plus a week, it's a business.
It is, and I think people ought to be very mindful of the fact that it's not some amateurs. These people know they're good. They're very good, and they're organised, and they've got lots of the well-funded. What astounded me when I first started looking into rural crime, and a lot of this information came from Dr. Kate Tudor from down the road here. She's close. I'm in Newcastle upon Tyne. She's just down the road at Durham University. The networks that are established. So once you've got your stuff, whether it be your tractor, your quad, or your GPS unit, the networks, how it can literally be on the other side of the world 3 days later, they're already established. And that fascinated me, how quick they can get rid of their booty in the millions and never to be seen again. Next thing you know, it's, as you say, it's in Ukraine or Russia or somewhere in Canada. It's frightening. And this
is organized crime. There's at this stage, there's no question of that.
Yeah, crime on a scale. Okay, Barry. So we're at the 36-minute point, and I just think what we'll do is bring this to a close. And before I put you out a shot, in summary, I want to say thank you. Thanks to you. Thanks to the IFA and all the stuff that you guys do over there and that you produce and put on your website. And it's great that activity is going on. Before we close it, is there anything that you want to include or say, or any last minute sort of tips and guidance for those people who may become the future victims of these criminals that you and I are talking about?
Just as we've said during this particular piece, personal responsibility and collective of the family and the workers of the farming or the agricultural or the community, the light up, lock up, use of technology, which is a fraction of the cost that it used to be, from a preventative measure, from the observations of would-be criminals, right, to the property marking projects that are out there, which again are free in some circumstances and little or no cost in other. All the investment is time. Bringing in a security professional or somebody to have a look, like your local crime prevention officer, who'll come out, who'll give you advice, being part of a rural crime network, be taking active participation. And again, as I said, the personal responsibility for your own location, just to make sure that you don't leave it handy with the keys in various items. Gates are locked, barn doors, and again, marking of the property is a huge particular stoppage. And then communities coming together with councils to do a property marking program, to buyers groups within the agricultural groups coming together to bulk buy alarms, cameras, whatever else, locking systems, all those things, tracking devices in particular. Great. And those things are really in the forefront of fighting. And then in the tiresome day that people have, just remember, light up, lock up, and let's keep it safe.
Brilliant.
But that's it.
That's absolutely lovely, Barry. Thank you so much. I'm going to put you out of shot now, Barry, as I wind up. Please stay on there. I'll still be able to see you, but you'll be able to screenshot. Your valuable time is very much appreciated. Thank you very much, Barry. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that's Barry's out of shot now. Barry's still there in the green room, I can see. So in closing, I just wanted to reiterate what we've said there. Barry's very clearly put over what's going on in Ireland, almost mirroring what's going on here in the UK and indeed around the world. But Barry made some really important points there that I just want to close with reiterating those. The comment that there's tons of equipment, football fields, I think was the word used, of recovered items that the Gardaí have. It's the same in the UK. There are police forces across the UK, and now we know across Ireland as well, with loads of stuff that doesn't belong to them, and they want to get it back to their rightful owners. And the easy way to effect that is simple property marking. However that is effected, it will make it easy for your stuff, your equipment, to be repatriated in the event that it's found. So it's bad enough having your kit stolen, but it would be super to get it back, wouldn't it? The items being stolen are, again, the same. It's GPS tracker units, it's quad bikes, it's fuel, it's fertilizer, it's feed. It's all of those easy to get items that can be quickly transported away, sold on the black market somewhere around the world via very well established and clearly planned logistical routes, already ready to go. They nick your stuff and they know where it's going. But then I want to mention the most important thing, in my opinion, that Barry was talking about there. Prevention. The prevention of rural crime is actually, it's not a rocket science. It's a multifaceted approach. There are various things that need to happen, but they can be done relatively cost-free in most cases, but certainly at low cost. Light up, lock up. Don't get more simple than that, but the impact can be huge. Lock things up and light them up as appropriate, making sure fences and gates and barriers are in place, not leaving keys in vehicles. A number of vehicles and quads and ATVs and things that are quickly taken because the key was in it and the gates open. It's a criminal's dream. 2 seconds, key out, locked away, doors locked, padlocks on, lights working, alarms where required, bit of CCTV. And then what I particularly loved about Barry's chat there was this approach of not only encouraging and making provisions for people to mark their property, but then getting areas with signage up. You are entering a property marking zone, and the whole of that community having gone through the process of marking their property makes a massive, massive difference. So there we go. That's me. That's Richard Wade. I hope that's been of interest to you. In the notes on YouTube, I will put all the details about how to contact the IFA and Barry, the crime prevention executive of the IFA. And I'm going to put a link so if you wish, you can download the Irish Crime Survey that we were talking about. Thank you so much. Last thing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and please leave any comments. We appreciate your time. Thank you.